Good morning. My name is Harry Yukla. Those of you who are going to enroll in the program will meet me in July in the classroom, where I will teach you the Economics of Innovation and Entrepreneurial Finance course. I hope also to meet most of you in Israel during the 2 weeks study trip in the Startup Nation, which I will host in my country. And I also hope to have one or two of you as my students in the thesis development as a supervisor. Let me first congratulate you for the interest in the subject of this unique academic program. Entrepreneurship is about problem solving, and is essential not only for your professional career, but also for coping with the modern life in general. Being able to quickly identify, engage, and propose solutions to the many problems in the modern life are vital for survival and reaching a competitive role in the society. Technology can help, but it is the entrepreneurial spirit that makes us prevail. If you see yourselves as belonging to this elite group, please come and join us. The program contains optional but highly recommended 2-week study trip in the Startup Nation, as Israel is known today. The trip is designed around lectures, visits, and interaction with opinion leaders, entrepreneurs, investors, and policymakers in the unique Israeli entrepreneurial environment. Let me illustrate what you should expect.
I think the mentality in Israel is really good. The mentality of risk-taking, the mentality of experimentation, the mentality of being able to be creative and being good with saying, okay, I'm going to fail now and I'm going to be successful later on.
If I look globally at the top startup ecosystems, Israel's in the top 3 for sure. The quality of the startups is very high. There is a entrepreneurial culture here that's in the DNA of the people. It's insane. I can't even tell you. I've seen some amazing companies coming through that I believe will be the next billion-dollar companies.
Wix is an online platform that enables users from all around the world to build their online business and a beautiful website around our platform. Currently we have 39 million registered users and we're adding around 1.2 new registered users every month. The uniqueness about the Israeli culture and the Israeli startup spirit is by the way that we would like to share and to learn from each other's success and further.
Are you familiar with the feeling that you wake up in the morning and you see your closet full of clothes but you don't know what to wear? So that's why we created Wishi, which is a crowdsourcing for style. You upload your closet and then people from all around the world, your friends, our community, stylists, people from Japan, can enter your closet and create style for you for your upcoming events.
The reason why we moved our R&D center to Tel Aviv is because, and not in New York, is because in Tel Aviv we have engineers and development teams that are looking for solutions, and when they get a mission, they will find a way how to accomplish it. We have a lot of really smart people, we have a lot of people that want to change the world through technology.
Our mission is to eliminate from this world arguments between parents and kids over practicing a musical instrument. We create a service that makes learning music and music practice into a fun game.
We bring the next generation of video games to the living room. We convert any regular screen into a magic window, allowing you to look into it. We track your head movements, we track your weapon movements. We allow you to shoot very intuitively.
In Israel, a lot of people are excited about working in a startup. As a society, we respect people who work in a startup, although we know they're probably not earning much money. And therefore, people are more willing to take the leap with you. We were ranked recently the second best place after Silicon Valley to open a startup, so there's this great industry. There's a great environment, great fun for young and creative people. It's very tolerant and diverse. And bring those two together and say to entrepreneurs all over the world, come live in Tel Aviv and open your startup in Tel Aviv.
Well, being in Israel makes visiting the historical places mandatory, and we will obviously not skip this. In addition, the encounters with the local entrepreneurs allows you to choose executing your thesis, your master thesis in the program in a startup in Israel, and we will facilitate for you an internship for this purpose. Another important element of the program is the extracurriculum activities that we plan for you in the campus. We just opened the Innovation House. This is 24 hours a day, 7 days a week location for students, faculty and practitioners interested in entrepreneurship to use it as a co-working place, as a seminal environment for idea creation and mentoring and advising young entrepreneurs. We will run in the Innovation House events and remote lectures by international figures like my friend and colleague Oded Shoseov, who is not only a renowned professor and researcher, but also a serial entrepreneur who created more than 12 startups based on his academic research.
200 years of modern science and industrial revolution resulted in airplanes that crash, polluting cars, and houses actually that don't survive earthquakes. Well, we shouldn't be so critical about our scientists because actually they didn't have much time, maybe 200 years or so. In fact, nature had much more time, 3 billion years of evolution that resulted in super performing materials. Take, for example, sequoia trees. They carry hundreds of tons for hundreds of years in harsh conditions, in the sun, UV light. There is absolutely no plastic, synthetic material that can survive such harsh conditions. But in fact, if you look very deep into the structure of this tree and try to understand what is it made of, what makes it so strong, surprisingly, it's a sugar. It's the same sugar we use in our tea. Well, in fact, not exactly the same. It's actually a polymer of that sugar called cellulose. Well, not exactly that. It's actually a fiber, a highly crystalline fiber of cellulose that is quite tiny, but rather long, about 300 to 400 nanometer in length, about 5 to 10 nanometer in width. And the funny thing that this thing is so strong, in fact, it is about 10 times stronger than steel. Yet, it's made of sugar. It's renewable. So it could be great if we had this wonderful material, and in fact, analysts believe that in 2020, nanocellulose, or nanocrystalline cellulose, as some people call it, CNC, is going to be one of the most important materials for the industry. Well, here's the problem. You can Google, you can eBay, you can even Alibaba. You won't find it. And for a simple reason, because it's still not available commercially. So we at the Hebrew University decided a few years ago to develop a process, a cost-effective process, to manufacture this nanofiber, which is made of cellulose. So we were looking for a cheap source of raw material. And in fact, we found one. Actually, it's the waste of the pulp and paper industry. This material is a perfect source for us, and there is plenty of that. In fact, a lot of that. So much of that material that it actually covers our continent. Europe alone manufactures about 11 million tons of this waste annually. For them, or for us, it's an environmental problem. For us, it's a gold mine. We at the Hebrew University developed a process to manufacture in a cost-effective manner nanocellulose from that waste. And together with our Swedish partners at Melodia, we developed an industrial scale process to make it. So what can we do with that? In fact, a lot of things. But one that you can see here is to make foams. Foams are very, very useful. So how do we make foam? We simply take the nanocellulose in a liquid crystal form and we pour it into a mold. And then all we have to do is to freeze it. What happened is quite remarkable. When we freeze it, all of a sudden, these nanofibers self-assemble into a porous, very stiff, very strong material. And all you have to do is now just to melt the ice, remove the water, and all of a sudden you end up with a foam that can be very useful for lots of things. And in fact, there are many applications that can be used in the land, in the aerospace, in the marine industry, in sandwich composites, to replace fossil oil-based materials like polystyrene, polyurethane, which are quite toxic and pollute our environment. Well, this is a very strong material that can be quite useful. But in fact, it's not the only one that nature can provide us. Cat fleas, which comes from the animal kingdom, provide us another fascinating material. I don't know how many of you know that, but cat fleas has the ability to jump as high as 200 times their height. This is amazing. It's the equivalent of a person standing in the middle of Manhattan and in a single jump go to the top of the Empire State Building and even land safely. So how could they do it? Well, they developed this remarkable material, which is actually the perfect rubber. It's a protein called resilin. This resilin is so elastic and so remarkable that you can stretch it, you can press it, and it doesn't lose any energy to the environment by heat or by friction. It stores everything. And when we release it, snaps, everything goes back. So it's quite remarkable to have that perfect rubber. We could do a lot of things with that. But here's the problem. Cat fleas are jumpy. It's very difficult to catch them. And if even you caught one, you don't have much, because it doesn't have much material. Cat fleas are tiny. But if you caught one, that's enough to take its DNA and clone the resilin gene into a less jumpy organism, like plant, for example. And that's exactly what we did. We actually cloned the gene that encodes for the resilin into plants. And now we can produce it in copious amounts. So what can you do with that? Well, remember the foam from the nanocellulose, this stiff material? What would happen if you take a little bit of this resilin and add it to this foam? Can we change its mechanical properties? The answer is yes. And I'm going to show you now a short video demonstrating it. You can see here on the right-hand side, this is nanocellulose foam alone in water. So when we crush it, it doesn't jump back, simply because it's not elastic. On the left-hand side, it's the same thing, but with a little bit of resilin. Look what happened. And you can do it again. You can do it again and again and again. We'll do it again all the time. Comes back. So this is great. So what else we can do with that wonderful material? Well, imagine that we can jump and every one of us can join the NBA. You know, future materials. And this is not a joke. We're actually working on the next generation of sports shoes. But there are other things that we can do. Remember, if you take this nanocellulose and just by itself you dry it, what happens is it is self-assembled into a transparent, extremely strong film. This film is so strong, it is about 2 times stronger than epoxy glue. And that is without the dirty chemistry. There's only hydrogen bonding, clean chemistry in water. So that's amazing. The problem that it's stiff. But hey, we have the resin from the animal kingdom, from the insect. So now if we mix them together, that's what happened. We get a transparent, flexible film that in fact even better in its mechanical properties compare it to the NCC film alone. So it's tougher, it's more elastic, and it's still transparent. And there are a lot of things we can do with that material. You can just imagine, for example, transparent touch screens for smartphones, for computers, Windows, and more. Well, nowadays, we are using materials that are coming from nature, like wood. But we're really limited in our construction to their shape, the shape of the logs that comes from the trees. But in fact, once we have the nanocellulose fiber, in the future, we will be able, together with the elastic resin in 3D printers, to combine them in different proportions to get the appropriate mechanical properties. And we will be able to make really sophisticated architectures that are limited only by our imagination. Well, a friend of mine once told me that if you want a new idea, you should open an old book. In fact, the book is there, and it was written. It was written over 3 billion years of evolution on the DNA of life. All we have to do is really to read that DNA and make our progress from there. Let's not reinvent the wheel. Thank you.
I hope you got the point and you are now ready to unleash your entrepreneurial aspirations together with us in February in Hania. See you there.